Right. So in our previous class, we have seen get methods, and also we have seen how to use conditional methods, and then browser methods like close and quit. So today we'll discuss about wait commands, or we can say wait methods, which are provided in Selenium. So first of all, why we need to use the wait command. So before that, we need to understand. So what is synchronization problem? So almost in every automation tool will face this problem, synchronize or synchronization problem. So what is synchronization? So sometimes what happens is when you run your automation test script and parallelly your application also should interact or should invoke the application and it show all the elements of the web page, right? So when you run your automation test scripts, at the same time, the web page and elements should be available. And then only your automation test script will able to perform the actions on the web elements. But sometimes what happens is maybe some application is not available by the time script is executing. And suppose some element is not available, then you will get some kind of exceptions like no such element exception, element not found exception. So such type of exceptions you will get. So that is called synchronization problem. So what is the main root cause for this is speed of your application, like execution speed is faster or the speed of your automation script is faster than your application response. So that will cause a synchronization problem. Almost in every automation tool, we can see this kind of problem. Okay, so let me give you some example. Let's say I have few lines of code I have written like this. Okay, and let us say this will launch our application. This is our application under test. So let us say I want to execute this particular step. Now on this particular element. So to execute this particular step, I need some element on this page. Okay, or suppose sometimes what happens is I want to execute this step, but for this particular step, I need another web page. I need to navigate to another web page. So what will happen is by the time the statement is got executed, maybe the element is not available or the web page is not fully loaded. In those cases, what happens? This statement will throw exception. And because of this, we got synchronization problem. So this is called synchronization problem. So speed of your application is very slow and your execution is faster than your speed of your application or the response your application. That is called synchronization problem. So in that particular situation, we will get synchronization problem. Then how to solve this problem? So to solve the problem, what we can do is the application response is not in our hand because we cannot control the speed of your application because it depends on many factors. Like suppose sometimes your network speed is very slow, then your application will respond very slowly. And sometimes many people who are accessing the same application, same page at the same time. In that case also, your application response will be slow. So there are multiple factors are involved. So we cannot control the speed of your application. Only thing is we can control the execution speed of your automation test script. So this is your in your head. You can control this, but you cannot control your application. So what we can do is, suppose there is a statement here, and to execute this statement, we need some element. So what we can do is, while executing this statement, we can wait for this element, or you can pause your script for some time here. And once the element is available, then we can resume the execution, right? So this way we can handle this. And by default, we have one sleep method in Java, Thread.sleep. So wherever you can see this kind of a problem, you can put Thread.sleep. So this is a normal method we have used earlier also. Wherever the synchronization problem is occur and wherever the page is taking more time to load or more time to display the element, we put this Thread.sleep and we put some time in the milliseconds. And then our script is paused for some time and meanwhile the element is available, then it will go and execute the rest of the statements. But other than this, WebDriver is provided some of the wait commands. By using those wait commands, we can solve synchronization problem. And most of the times, we will prefer to use wait commands instead of thread.sleep command. And thread.sleep is having some disadvantages. We will see what are the disadvantages, and then we will discuss other commands provided by Selenium WebDriver. And every wait statement is having some its own advantages and disadvantages. But WebDriver wait commands, like whatever waits are provided by WebDriver, they will work more efficiently than thread.sleep. Okay. So how many ways we can handle synchronization problem? So thread.sleep is actually not coming from WebDriver, which is a Java method itself. It is coming from Java itself. So this is not a WebDriver command. Remember this. Okay. If anybody asks you what are the wait methods are provided in Selenium, there are only two kinds of waits are provided. One is called implicit wait. Second is explicit wait. Okay, implicit wait and explicit wait. So these are the only two wait statements are provided in Selenium. And in explicit wait, again, we have another flavor of wait, which is called Fluent wait. This is also explicit wait, but it will provide some more options than explicit wait. These are the only two wait commands provided by Selenium WebDriver. Thread.sleep also we can use, but this is not related to Selenium WebDriver. So Java itself is provided thread.sleep command. Okay. And implicit wait and explicit waits are provided by Selenium WebDriver. So these are the only two types of wait provided by Selenium WebDriver. In explicit wait, we have another flavor called Fluent wait. Okay. Now we'll discuss one by one. First, we'll start with the sleep command. So what is the advantage and what is the disadvantage of sleep command? So before that, let me show you one example where we will try to use sleep command. Okay, go to Eclipse and create new package, day 27. Yeah, first thing, sleep command. Okay, so now let me write a small piece of code. Okay, now I have written this piece of code and I'll import it all the classes and everything. And this is thread.sleep. So if I don't put this here, what will happen is it will launch your application. And after that, I'm interacting with some element here. So if I open this particular web page, you can see login screen. So this is your login screen. And here there are some elements. So here I'm interacting with this username input box and I'm passing some value here. Through XPath, I have interacted with that element and then I have passed some value. So I have not used the sleep command for now. So we'll see what is the problem with this when I run as a Java application. So synchronization problem, you may not get every time. Okay, so randomly depends upon the scenario, you will get it. But whenever you get a synchronization problem, then you can handle it. Even if you're having, suppose, doubt about synchronization, suppose you are guessing it sometimes. So in that case also, you can keep the synchronization part. Now you can see here, application is launched and it is waiting cursor here, but still the value is not entered in this box. And if you go back and see, you will get this exception. No such element exception. Okay, so there are two kinds of exceptions you have to notice here. Most important. Sometimes in interview also will ask no such element exception. That is one type of exception. Element not found exception. These are the two types of exceptions most of the times you can see. So when you will get no such element exception, when you will get element not found exception. Can anyone guess? No such element exception and element not found exception. So element not found exception you will get whenever your locator is not matching with the element. Your locator is not correct. Locator is incorrect. Okay, locator is incorrect. In such case, you will get a element not found exception. If the locator is incorrect, then you will get element not found exception. And no such element exception you will get when you have a synchronization problem. Your locator is correct, but by the time the statement is got executed, the element is not available on the web page. Okay, so when the element is not present on the page, then you'll get this exception, and this is basically synchronization problem. Okay, so no such element exception. So whenever you get this kind of exception, you can easily understand which is basically because of synchronization problem. And element not found exception you will get when you are using element is available on the web page, but you are using some incorrect locator, incorrect XPath or incorrect CSS. In that case, you will get element not found exception most of the times. Okay, so whenever you see no such element exception, you can easily decide or you can easily find out that is a synchronization problem because of synchronization problem. Okay, so now if I look at this as it is launching my page, but after that this statement is not executed and it is clearly saying no such element exception. If you look at here which element it is, this is a element. It is talking about element also. It is clearly show the element also. So this is exception we got because this element is not available. It is not able to find that element. So we got this exception, no such element exception. Because of synchronization problem, we got the problem. So now I put this thread.sleep here. Just wait for some few seconds. Thread.sleep will pass our execution here for some time. After launching the page, our script execution will pass here for some time, so 3 seconds. And meanwhile, the elements are available. So after that, if I execute the statement, it will execute successfully. Let me try to execute now. So I will close this and run as Java application. Just observe here, it is launching the page. After 3 seconds, it is trying to enter the value. So when I put sleep command, it is able to solve the problem. So we haven't get exception, still the statement is successfully executed. But what is the problem? It is able to solve the synchronization problem, right? It is able to solve it. But what is an advantage and what is a disadvantage of the sleep command? Okay, let me write here few points about sleep command. So the advantage of sleep is easy to use. You can easily use it, right? Just simply say thread.sleep and we can put some time. So wherever you find synchronization problem in your automation script, you can simply add this method. So that will solve the synchronization problem. Very simple to use and very easy to remember also. But what are the disadvantage of this? If the time is not sufficient, then you will get an exception. Suppose I put 3000 milliseconds here. That means 3 seconds. Suppose if it is taking more than 3 seconds to display that element. Okay. If this element is displayed or if this element is visible within 3 seconds, no issues. It will solve the synchronization problem. But suppose if this element is taking more than 3 seconds, still there is a chance of getting an exception. Because this value we have hard coded. So sometimes it may take more time, right? So in that case, we will get we have a chance of getting an exception. Second problem is, suppose here 3 seconds I put here. and this element is taking just only 1 second, then other 2 seconds will be wasted here. Even though the element is available on the web page within 1 second, still it will wait for 3 seconds, because until unless this time is completed, it will not go to the next statement. Even though this element is available, it will not go to the next statement and execute, because once this time is over, then only it will go and execute the next statement. Okay, so if you put thread.sleep 5 seconds, if the element is not available within 2 or 3 seconds, and rest of the time will be wasted. And thread.sleep, if I use multiple places, in many places in your automation script and multiple times, in every place it will wait for 3 seconds and it will wait for 5 seconds, depends upon the time you specified. So it will be wasting of time. So obviously your performance of your automation test script will be reduced. This will cause a poor performance of your automation script. If you have a huge number of automation scripts and many places, if I use thread.sleep, obviously that will reduce the performance of your automation test script. So if the time is more than this, still there is a chance of exception. If the element is taking less time, in that case also, it will cause the poor performance of your automation test scripts. In the both the ways, we have a disadvantage. So these are the two disadvantages. If the time is not sufficient, then again you will get a exception, and it will wait for maximum timeout. So that is the reason it will reduce the performance of your automation script. So even though element is available within 1 or 2 seconds, still it will not go and execute the statement. Once the time is over, then go and execute the statement, right? So this is the second disadvantage. It will wait for maximum timeout. How much time is specified? It will wait for maximum timeout. And because of this, it will reduce the performance of your script. And third thing is what? Multiple times we need to write. Suppose you have a 5 places, you're facing synchronization problem, and you want to deal with 5 to 6 different pages you want to navigate. So in every place you need to write thread.sleep. Multiple times you have to write. Wherever the synchronization problem is occurring, you have to add thread.sleep multiple times. So this is another problem. Okay, so because of this, we are not going to use thread.sleep. Most of the times we never prefer thread.sleep command. But as a beginner, in the initial stage while learning the concepts, you can still use it. But once you design your automation, or once you are working on automation projects, we should avoid thread.sleep command. This is not at all recommended. It is just easy to use, but there are disadvantages because we put hard-coded time here. And sometimes elements may take more time, or elements take very less time. If the element is taking more time, still there is a chance of getting an exception. If the element is taking less time, still there is a chance of having poor performance of your automation script, because in every place, in every wait, every sleep command, it will wait for maximum timeout. Even though the elements are available, still it will not execute it. It will still wait for some more time and then catch that element. So because of these disadvantages, we never use thread.sleep. It will not be preferable. And this is not WebDriver command. This is Java command itself. And many people will combine this with the implicit and explicit wait, and finally they tell 3 types of waits. Actually, there are only 2 types of waits. Selenium WebDriver is supported. Thread.sleep is just a method which is provided by Java itself. It is not comes under wait statement of Selenium WebDriver. Okay, if anybody asks you in interview, you should be very, very clear about this command. All right, so everyone is clear about thread.sleep. What are the disadvantages of this? Right, so now let us move on to the actual wait statements provided by Selenium WebDriver. So WebDriver is provided 2 wait statements, implicit wait and explicit wait. So we will talk about implicit wait first. So it's very, very simple, implicit wait. So how to use implicit wait? Let me create another example. Same example. This time I will try to use implicit wait. implicit wait demo. So don't write only implicit wait. Okay, just add some more stuff like this, implicit wait demo. And the same example I'm taking. This time, instead of sleep command, I will try to use implicit wait. So let's remove this. Okay. Now this code will give you no such element exception because of synchronization problem. So if you want to use implicit wait in your automation test script, as soon as you created your driver instance, you can access one method here, driver dot manage dot. Inside this manage, there is a method called timeouts. And again, inside the timeouts, we have to call implicitly wait. So this is a method, actual method, implicit wait method. So this we have to call from driver object. The driver we have to first call manage, that will return options object. From the options we have to call timeouts, that will return timeouts object. From the timeouts we have to call implicit wait. So here we have to pass time, right? Every wait statement is required time. So here we have to pass some time. So how to pass the time? So to pass the time, we can simply use a special class called duration class. And inside this, there is a different type of methods are there. So if you can specify time in seconds, milliseconds, minutes, hours, and whichever format you want to specify, you can specify. But most of the times we specify in seconds. So duration dot of seconds. You can take this method and you can put maximum how much time you want to specify. You can say 5 seconds and then semicolon. This is called implicit wait method. Implicit wait. Okay. And one thing you need to notice here. We are getting synchronization problem after launching the page. When you're getting this element, you are getting synchronization problem, right? But why we need to put this implicit wait at the beginning of the script, right? So the reason is how exactly implicit wait works. So when you put this implicit wait is always only one single statement. Suppose you have 5 different places, you are getting synchronization problem. You no need to write this implicit wait 5 times. Only one time you have to write. And when you have to write after creating the driver instance. Okay. So how this is going to work? So this implicit wait is applicable for every statement in your automation script. If you have 100 lines of code, and this particular implicit wait is applicable for all 100 lines of code. And wherever the synchronization problem is occurred, this implicit wait will take care of it. This implicit wait will wait for maximum 5 seconds for the element or for the page, and that will automatically solve the synchronization problem. So the advantage of this implicit wait is we can just specify only one time before after creating the driver instance, only one time. And this particular implicit wait is applicable for all the statements in your automation script. And this is alive till you close your driver. Okay, so when you will close your driver at the end of the automation script, you will close or you will quit from the driver. So till you close your driver, this implicit wait is alive or it is active, and it is applicable for all the statements in your automation test script. Okay, so the advantages are what? We can put only one time. We no need to write multiple times. And second thing is what? You no need to predict the scenario. Like you no need to know where exactly you're getting synchronization problem. So wherever the synchronization problem is occurred, in whichever statement is throwing exception because of synchronization problem, the same implicit wait will take care of it. Okay, suppose if this is taking some time, the implicit wait take care. If this element is taking some more time, then again implicit wait time will take care. So all kinds of synchronization problems will take care of one statement, take care by one single statement. Okay, these are all advantages. But we also specifying the time here, right? But because of this, Will it cause any poor performance like Thread.sleep? Because if I want to use implicit wait, we should have some advantages when you compare with the Thread.sleep, right? So what are the advantage of it? When you compare with the Thread.sleep, what is an advantage here? See, the major difference is in Thread.sleep, whatever the time is specified, once the time is over, then only the next statement will execute. Okay. After 3 seconds, suppose if you put 3 seconds or 5 seconds or 10 seconds. So once the cutoff time is over, then only the next statement will execute, even though that element is available within few seconds. Right? This is the behavior of Thread.sleep. Suppose here 5 seconds I put here, but element is available within 2 seconds. This element is available within 2 seconds, but still it will not execute. After completion of 5 seconds, only the next statement will execute. Because of that reason, it is causing the poor performance. But when you come to implicit wait, this is actually maximum timeout. Suppose if this element is available within 2 seconds, then it will execute automatically. It will not wait for maximum timeout. Because we put 5 seconds here, 5 seconds is what maximum timeout. So if this element is not available, how much time it will wait? 5 seconds it will wait. Suppose if the element is available within 2 seconds, so this will not wait for another 3 seconds. It will go and execute the next statement immediately. So there is no problem of performance issues here. That is one big advantage when you compare with the Thread.sleep. But there is one problem still. What is the problem we have in this? Because of this time, if the element is taking more than 5 seconds, still there is a chance of getting an exception, right? Because we are hard coding the time here. Whenever you are hard coding time, definitely that limitation will be there. So sometimes if the element or if the page is taking more than 5 seconds, how much time this implicit wait can wait? Implicit wait can wait maximum 5 seconds. And after 5 seconds, if this element is available, still it will throw exception, no such element exception. Okay, so that's how this implicit wait will work. So the default time of implicit wait is what? Default time is 0 only. It will not wait for maximum time. So default time is 0. But if any element is not available or if any page is still not available, it will wait for maximum 5 seconds for that element, for that particular page, and then it will proceed with the rest of the statements. So that's how this implicit wait will work. So even though we put this in the beginning, it will applicable for all the commands throughout our automation, because we are referring the driver, right? Until this driver is alive, this implicit wait is applicable for all the statement. It doesn't mean every statement it will wait for 5 seconds. No. Okay, what I'm saying, just carefully you need to understand. What is my point here is this driver.manage.timeout.implicit wait is implicit wait statement. What I'm saying, this is applicable for all the commands, all the statements in your automation script. It doesn't mean for every statement it will wait for 5 seconds. No. When it will wait for 5 seconds for that particular statement, if that element is not present on the web page, or if the element is not available, still not loaded on the web page, then only the 5 seconds will be considered. Maximum 5 seconds it will wait. If the element is available, then it will go and execute the next statement as usual. Okay, it will not unnecessarily waste the time. So you need to understand the difference. It is applicable for all the commands, all the statements, but whichever statement is taking more time to load on the web page, the 5 seconds will wait for that particular statement. And if element is available, immediately it will jump to the next statement. So that's how implicit wait works. Let's try to execute this code. But still, there is a problem with the implicit wait. What is the problem? See, it is successfully executed, and also my browser is got closed. I haven't used Thread.sleep, but still this implicit wait statement is taking care of it. Okay, but there is one common disadvantage in Thread.sleep and implicit wait. What is the problem? The time, right? If the element is taking any statement or any element is taking more than 5 seconds, still there is a chance of getting a exception. No such element exception. Okay, so now let me write some notes here related to. So we understood sleep command, advantage and disadvantages. Now, when you come to implicit wait, what are the advantages and disadvantages? So this is implicit wait syntax. Driver dot manage dot timeouts and implicitly wait duration of seconds. And you can put any number of seconds. There is no limit for this. Maximum 10 seconds are preferable. Okay, if any element or any web page is taking more than 10 seconds, that is causing a performance issues. Okay, report performance issues on that application. So standard time is maximum 10 seconds. It should not exceed maximum 10 seconds. Right. So what is an advantage of this implicit wait? Only single time or one time we can specify this. You don't need to write multiple places in multiple times. Only one time we have to write implicit wait. And it will not wait till maximum time if the element is available. This is a major difference between sleep and implicit wait. In the sleep command, what will happen? Even though the element is available, still it will wait for maximum time and then it will proceed. But in implicit wait, it will not wait for element. It will just wait how much time it is required and then it will proceed further. So it will not cause performance issues. That's the second point. Third point is what applicable for all the elements. You don't need to worry about where exactly you will get synchronization problem. You don't need to worry about it. So once you put this implicit wait in one place, that is taking care of all kinds of synchronization problem wherever you are getting. Fourth point is one, it is very easy to use because a single statement, right? Driver.manage. So you will understand once you understand Fluent wait and explicit wait, how much easy it is, you will understand. When you compare with the explicit or Fluent waits, it is very simpler than that one. So implicit wait is very, very easy to use. And again, what is the disadvantage of this? If the time is not sufficient, then you will still have chance of getting exception. This is a disadvantage, but maximum 10 seconds you will specify and you will never expect any exceptions most of the times. If your application performance is very good, right? So then maximum 10 seconds is more than enough. Even it is element or if it is a web page, it should be loaded. It should be available within 10 seconds. So that's a maximum standard time. Okay, if it is taking more than 10 seconds, you can easily report as a performance issues. Okay, so this is all about implicit wait. So is this clear, everyone? Advantages and disadvantages. You have to remember these points because during the interview, people will ask you. So what are the wait statements are available? What is the differences? What is the advantage? What is the disadvantages? Right. So once we discussed all wait statements, then we will see which one we will prefer and why we need to prefer all those things. Now let us move on to the next wait statement, which is explicit wait. Explicit wait. Okay, so implicit wait and Thread.sleep. In both ways, we will consider the time, right? How much time we have to wait for the element. So that will play most important role. But when you come to thread or when you come to the explicit or Fluent waits, before considering the time, we have to put certain condition. So it will consider two things actually. One is condition, the second one is time. But in the sleep and implicit wait, we will consider only time. But when you come to explicit or Fluent waits, we will consider the condition. We have to put certain condition and then we'll consider the time. So how exactly explicit wait works? In explicit wait, we will specify the time also, but we will see what is the time we specify. And before that, condition is most important. First, let me show you the practical example. And after that, we will try to understand the syntax and everything. So let me create another example for explicit wait. And every time you may not get exceptions, so, but whenever you see the exceptions, and then you can try to use them just to understand how to use it. Okay, explicit wait. So I'll try to remove this implicit wait for now. Okay, so how to use explicit wait and what is the syntax of this? So if you want to use explicit wait, there are two steps. One is declaration. The second step is usage. Okay, first we need to declare the explicit wait. Once it is declared, then we can use it. So there are two things are there. Declaration, how to declare explicit wait, and after that, how to use explicit wait for the particular element. And it's not like implicit wait. Okay, implicit wait, once you write one single statement, this is applicable for all the statements, for all the elements in your automations test script. But explicit wait is not like that. Explicit wait is for specific to element, specific to web element, or specific to web page. So we can put certain condition, and explicit wait works based on the condition, and then it will consider as a time. Condition is most important. Okay, now go back to the example. So how to declare explicit wait? As I said, two steps. One is declaration, other one is usage. So how to declare explicit wait? So to declare explicit wait, once you created your driver instance, here you have to use a special class called WebDriver Wait class. WebDriver Wait. It is another class which is already there in your Selenium WebDriver. For that, we need to create one object. Let's say I call this my wait equal to new WebDriver Wait. So we need to create an object for WebDriver Wait. So that we need to import from org-opengear.selenium.support.ui. And inside this WebDriver Wait class, there is a constructor. So that will expect two parameters. One is the driver we have to pass as a first parameter. Second parameter, we have to specify the time also. So how to specify the time? Just like in implicit wait, we use duration class, right? Same thing here. Duration dot of seconds of, you can put maximum 5 or 10, whatever you want, maximum 10 seconds. So this is called declaration part. We just only declared. Still, we haven't applied this explicit wait for the elements or for the pages. It's just declaration. Still, it will not applicable. Just only with the declaration, we cannot avoid synchronization problem. Still, you will get an exception. So this is only declaration. Now, whichever element is throwing exception or causing synchronization problem, we need to identify that element. Okay, so in this particular example, this particular element is throwing exception. So because after launching the page, when you're finding this element, you are getting no such element exception, because this particular statement or this particular element is taking some time to load on the web page, right? So once you identify, then we should apply this WebDriver wait object, or we should apply this explicit wait on this particular element. We should apply explicit wait only on that particular element. So how to apply? So let me show you. So let's comment this. So now application, how to apply this explicit wait on this element. So to apply this, we have to take the help of this my wait object, my wait dot And as I said, one point here, explicit wait works based on the condition. After that only it will take consideration of time. So first it will work on the condition. So the condition we have to specify using until method, mywait.until. In this, we have to specify the condition. So how can we specify the condition? Again, we have to use another class, expected conditions dot. Here it will show you all the conditions. So whichever condition is relevant to that element, you can choose that condition. Suppose what is my condition here is, I just want to wait for the element visibility. That element should be visible on the web page. That's my condition. So you can take one method from this, visibility of. Okay, so you can find so many methods. You can choose whichever method is relevant to your scenario. Visibility of element located. I'm taking this method. Visibility of element located. And which element? This one. Only the locator part you have to specify. Only locator part you have to pass here. Okay, now what will happen in this statement is, just observe very carefully. Mywait.until expected conditions dot visibility of element located by dot x path of this element. So when you put this statement and then you can end of this statement. So how this statement is going to work? Okay, let's try to minimize this so that the entire statement you can see. So you need to understand the whole statement. Okay, so just observe how exactly the statement works. So this is a locator part, right? So this is just a locator. This part is called locator. And my wait is a actual implicit wait or explicit wait object. My wait dot until is a method through which we can put the condition. My wait dot until, and this is representing the condition. What is a condition we selected here? There are a number of conditions are there in this expected conditions class. So what is the condition we have chosen here is visibility of element located. So visibility of element located, which element? This is the element. This is representing the element. So this particular statement will wait until this element is visible or until this element is located on the web page. So once it is visible, then this particular condition becomes true. So once this element is visible on the web page, then the condition until method becomes true. Whenever this until method returns true, that will return the web element. So that we need to store in a variable like this. So there are multiple things will happen in one single statement. So this is the locator we are passing. And expected condition visibility of located means what? This method will wait till this condition becomes true. When this condition becomes true, if this element is located, then the condition becomes true. So once the condition becomes true, it will return the web element for us. If it returns the web element, so that we need to specify. So here I will create one variable called web element user, or you can say txt username. And then web element we have to import. Okay, so this is a whole statement, explicit wait. Now you need to understand something here. When I use explicit wait statement, locating the element or identifying the element is inclusive. See here, it is locating the element also. Okay, and it is returning the web element. So again, do we need to write this statement? Driver.find element, is it required? Because explicit wait itself is retaining the element once it is available on the web page, right? So once the element is available on the web page, the condition becomes true. That itself is returning the web element for us. So again, do we really need to write this statement driver.find element text.by.xpath, all these things? Not needed. So you can simply remove this command and try to get this element and dot send keys. You can directly write like this. So whenever you are using explicit wait or fluent wait, it will also return the web element directly. That means identification of web element is inclusive in explicit waits. Identification of web element is inclusive. So you don't need to write a separate method driver.find element. When I use explicit waits, you don't need to write driver.find element method separately. Why? Because the explicit wait itself will return the element that we are going to access directly. Okay, so here my wait is what? WebDriver wait object. Until is a method, we can use it for specifying the condition. And inside this method, how can we put the condition? Using expected conditions class. When you say expected conditions dot, you can find a different type of methods. You have to choose the right method which is appropriate in that particular scenario. Dot, I will show you different conditions. Okay, here this is the one type of method I have used. Visibility of element located and the locator part. And after that, it will return the element and we pass the value. Same thing is applied for password element also. Suppose we want to apply the same wait statement for password element, you can write one more and you can say txt password. And here the same condition again I can put visibility of element located and what is the next path of this element? You can capture inspect. And this is the X path of this element. Go back and X path here. This we have to change. Okay, so this is the condition. So now we will get the password, and once you get the password element, you can pass the admin. Now after that, I want to interact with some other element. So let us say I want to click on the login element. So let us inspect this login. And this is the element. So how can we put explicit wait for this element? And what type of condition is suitable for this? My wait dot until and expected conditions and my condition I can choose here. So suppose this is a button, right? So we want to perform click action on the button. So for what we have to wait here till the element is clickable. You can also put element is visible condition, no problem. But even though sometimes element is visible, you are not able to click on that element. So what is your condition here? The element should be clickable. So I can choose that conditions, expected conditions dot, and I can use this method element to be clickable, element to be clickable. And here I can just pass the locator of this element. So this is a locator of this element. Even find element is not at all required. And in the double quotes, I can just pass this element. So once it is able to, once it is visible and clickable, then it will return the element that I can store in a variable. Web element login button. And after that, you can perform the action login btn dot click. That's it. Okay. So this is element specific. So that is the reason explicit wait we need to apply. Not required for every element. Okay, so here just for your understanding, I have used multiple times for every element, but normally we do not apply explicit wait for every type of element. Wherever you are getting synchronization problem, whichever element is causing synchronization problem, for that element only we will add this explicit wait. Other elements not needed. Other elements you can directly use driver.find element, you can proceed further. Okay. I think one more bracket is required. Element to be clickable. Sorry, we forgot to specify by XPath. Okay, one more bracket. So this is how we can put, and then after that you can put. And few things you need to remember this. Explicit wait works based on the condition. So if this condition is true, then only it will return element here. If this condition is true, element to be clickable, then only it will return the element. Otherwise will not. Okay. And it is basically waiting for what element? Element should be visible or element should be clickable. Okay, or element should be available on the page. So these are different conditions. And explicit wait is basically waiting for the element. So once the element is available, that will return the web element. Okay. But if it is working based on the condition where this time comes into picture, because we specify some time right in the explicit wait, but where this time will be considered. If you look at these statements, it seems like it works based on the condition which we specified. It is waiting for the element, waiting for element to be clickable, waiting for visibility of element located. But when this time will be considered. Okay, let me give you a simple example. Based on that, you can understand how exactly this explicit wait works. First, it will consider the condition and then it will consider the time. Okay. See, with this example, you can easily understand how exactly explicit wait works. Let us say there are two friends. They have to come from two different places and they want to meet at one place exactly 5 p.m. Okay, let's say 5 p.m. in one particular place. They wanted to meet and their two friends should come from two different places. And here they wanted to meet exactly sharply at 5 p.m. Now, the first friend exactly came here sharply at 5 p.m. here and he is here. Okay, now the second one is not still come. So he is waiting for his friend to come, right? He is waiting for his friend to come, but 5 p.m., sharply 5 p.m., he is available here, but he reached here, but he is waiting for his friend to come. That is called condition. So this guy is waiting for what? His friend to be arrived. That's called condition. How much time he should wait? How much time it should wait? 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. How much time we can wait? Maximum 10 to 15 minutes, right? So they decided exactly sharply 5 p.m. If this guy is not coming here between 10 to 15 minutes, maximum 15 minutes he can wait. After 15 minutes, if he is waiting for 1 hour, 2 hours, doesn't make any sense. No, right? If this guy is not coming within 10 to 15 seconds or 15 minutes, there is some problem with this. So maybe he is facing some issues and because of that reason, he is not able to come, right? So he is basically waiting for his friend. That is called condition. And how much maximum time he can wait? That is called the timeout, which we specified in the WebDriver wait. That means first it will give the importance to the condition. If the condition is true, if element is visible or if the element is clickable, it will return the web element. And if the element is not visible or if it's still not element is not available in the web page, how much time it will wait for the element? Maximum 10 seconds it will wait. That is called cutoff time. So in explicit wait, the first priority will be given to the condition. And if the condition is still not satisfied, maximum 10 seconds cutoff time we can specify. It will wait for 10 seconds. We can also specify more time, but standard time is 10 seconds only. Okay. So explicit wait works based on the condition. If the condition is not satisfied, then it will wait for the time 10 seconds. Within 10 seconds, the condition should be satisfied. Then it will return the element. In some cases, even though the element is not able to locate within 10 seconds, it is taking more than 10 seconds. Still, there is a chance of getting an exception. So in almost in every wait statement, we will have we will have a chance of getting an exception if it is exceeded the specified time. So we have to use try catch block. That's the only solution for this. Okay, if this statement is not find the element and within this time, definitely that will not able to return element. So we need to exit at certain point of time, right? We cannot wait for 15 minutes or 30 minutes for the element. If this element is not visible in 10 seconds, it will exit from the statement and throw the exception. So that is problem still be there, but 10 seconds is a maximum timeout. But when you compare with the implicit wait, this will work more effectively because here we are waiting for the element. We are not totally depends on the time. We are depending on the condition. Okay, so this is how explicit wait works. Okay, so you can use find element method. There is no restriction. Yes, when I use explicit wait, if you are preferring to use explicit wait and you don't need to use find element method, that is not at all needed. Why? Because this itself is returning the web element for you, right? It is itself is by using this locator, the explicit wait itself is locating the element and returning it. So why we need to write another find element? It's not needed. But whichever element you are not using explicit wait, there you can use normal driver.find element method. For example, this is taking time. So here you can use this explicit wait and rest of the elements you can normally use driver.find element. Okay, so do we have to write for every exception web element? This is major disadvantage. We no need to apply this wait for every statement. That's the reason I'm saying this is just a declaration, but how whether you want to apply this wait for the element or not depends on the synchronization problem. You don't apply this for every web element. Whichever element is throwing exception, whichever element is taking synchronization problem, you will apply this only for that for that element, not for every element. Okay, so the default timeout for all kinds of wait is 0. It will wait for just 0 seconds and it will go further, but there is no advantages. So we need to specify some time here. Okay, so this is how we can use explicit wait. So let me try to execute, clear this. And the password is admin123. Yeah. And the condition methods will be changed. It depends upon the different type of elements. You have to put a different type of conditions. Okay, now we can see even explicit wait also solve the problem. And we will use a different type of conditions. So I will put these conditions here, just sample conditions. You can just remember few of them. So these are the most popular. So alerts present, element selection state to be, element to be clickable, element to be selected. And sometimes when you're working with the frames, you can also use frame to be available and switch to it. Invisibility of element located, this is opposite. These two are opposite methods. You can just remove this. Presence of all elements located by, when you're working with multiple web elements, it will be useful. Presence of element located, text to be present in the element, text to be present in the element located. So these are all different methods. So title contains visibility of all elements. So when you put dot here, expected conditions dot, you will able to see all the methods and you can choose whichever method is relevant to that particular scenario. Most of the times you can use visibility of element located because as soon as the element is visible, you can perform the action, right? So that is suitable for all kinds of elements. You can try to use it. And if you want to use specific action, like if it is a button and not only visibility, you should be able to click on that. You can use element to be clickable. Suppose if you have some alert, then you should be able to close that alert. Is alert present? So that is a condition, right? So different conditions, we can try to use the different scenarios. Okay, so now we'll see what is an advantage and disadvantage of this explicit wait. So I will put some points here related to this explicit wait. So the points, the first point, it is conditional based. Okay. So implicit wait and thread.sleep purely based on the totally based on the time we specified. But in explicit wait, we are specifying the condition using until method. So it will work more effectively than implicit wait and thread.sleep. Second point, finding element is inclusive. Okay. So we no need to write a separate driver.find element method. So finding element is inclusive, but not for every conditional method. There are certain methods for them. We have to again specify the element. Finding element is inclusive most of the times. Third point, it will wait for condition to be true. Then if the condition is still not true, then it will consider the time. It will wait for the condition becomes true. It is waiting. Basically, it is waiting for the element because the condition should be true. That's our ultimate goal here. So for that, it needs some time. So the cutoff time we are specifying at the time of declaring the explicit wait. Fourth point, we need to write multiple statements for multiple web elements. And this is again, we can say a disadvantage. But most of the times we don't write multiple things because very rarely we will get synchronization problem, just one or two places. And you can just take care of with explicit wait. You can just apply the explicit wait for those 2 or 3 elements. That is enough. Okay, these are the points we need to remember in case of explicit wait. And even in implicit wait also, there is a chance of getting an exception. Even in explicit wait also, there is a chance of getting an exception. So only thing is we need to handle through try catch block. If still element is not present within 10 seconds, you can safe side, you can put try catch block. The entire code you can put in the try catch blocks. Because almost in every wait statement is having the same problem. If the time is exceeded, the element is taking more than 10 seconds or more than 5 seconds, still you have a chance of getting an exception. Okay, so this is all about explicit wait. So implicit wait and explicit wait. Now there is another flavor of explicit wait called fluent wait. And this is more complex than explicit wait. I think it seems even explicit wait itself is more complex than implicit wait, right? So fluent wait is a little more complex than explicit wait, but these waits will works more effectively. But if still not familiar with this, you can still use implicit wait. Nothing wrong with this. Okay. So let me show you quickly how to use fluent wait. That is also part of explicit wait, but the syntax we will change and we will add some more options in fluent wait. Okay. Now let me take another example. Fluent wait demo. Okay, I'm just trying to remove this implicit. Okay, so how to, even in the fluent wait also, we have to first declare it, then we have to use it. Two things. So to declare the fluent wait, again, after driver creation, here we have to create. So how to create this fluent wait declaration? So to declare the fluent wait, we have to use something called wait WebDriver. And for this, we need to create one object called myWait equal to new fluent wait. Actually, you can also write fluent wait myWait equal to new fluent wait. Okay, we need to typecast code. This is the syntax they have provided, and you can just remember this. And we have to pass the driver here. This driver we have to pass. And after that, we need to pass some more options here. So this is the declaration. We have to import this wait from org openqa.selenium support.ui. and even Fluent Wait also we need to import. And actually this is completed Fluent Wait declaration, but it is also provided some more additional options. So we will continue that. You can say enter, you can say dot with the timeout. Here we pass duration dot of seconds. Let's say 10 seconds, or you can say 30 seconds. And one more part is polling every. This is the additional option provided in Fluent Wait. This option is not there in Explicit Wait. So you can say duration dot of seconds. Let's say 5. And last option, ignoring. And exception type you can specify. I can say no such exception, no such element exception. No such element exception, and which is basically class. So we need to specify that and then close. So this is the declaration of Fluent Wait. So ignoring no such element exception. And this no such element exception should be part of org openqr.selenium. So this is called declaration part. Fluent Wait, this is, we will get it from their own documentation. So this is a fixed syntax we have to follow. So we will try to understand these three options. Okay, this is called declaration part. And how to use this Fluent Wait for the element. So for that, they have created one simple syntax. Let me see in their documentation. And in the Google itself, you can search for this. Say google.com, and you can search for Fluent Wait in Selenium. So you can just check their official website, how they have created this. So this is the declaration part, and this is the usage, how to use the Fluent Wait. So they have given sample usage. So let me put this point here. This is syntax as it is we are using in our automation test scripts. Fluent Wait. Okay, so this is the declaration and this is the usage. And here actually the time we specify, and here also the time we specify using duration dot of seconds. So this is a declaration and this is a usage for the element. So we need to slightly modify this actually. So how to modify this? We will capture this first. And this we need to write for whichever element it is taking, synchronization problem. So we need to apply this. Okay, so this is a declaration. Now I want to apply Fluent Wait for this particular element. Okay, so how to apply? Let me comment this. So this is the syntax they have given. So we need to modify this. Actually, this foo is what? Web element. I say txt username, and web element we have to import. And this wait is what? Is my wait object. So that we need to pass. Okay, until new function. So these classes we have to import. So you can see com.google.common.base and WebDriver and web element. These two we have to pass, WebDriver and web element. And this is basically called arrow function. Okay, in Java, which is called arrow function. So in this public web element, here apply WebDriver driver, and here driver.find element. Here whichever element you are looking for, you need to write that. So this is the element we are looking for. This is the locator of this. So we need to capture this by.id or by.xpath. This is the element we are looking for. That you need to specify here. Here we use find element. Okay. So this is the full-fledged syntax. So now you no need to write this statement. So this is how we can use Fluent Wait for this particular element, for one element. So my weight is what? The object of wait, Fluent wait, because this is the actual class which is implemented the wait interface. Here wait is an interface. So my wait dot until, this is actually the arrow function which is representing a condition, and in this method will find that element and return it. Okay, so the major thing is these three extra we need to understand how exactly it will work. So this is a normal time, maximum timeout. Normally we put 10 seconds, right? So here we put 30 seconds. And what is the polling time? Polling every 5 seconds. So this is a difference between explicit wait and implicit wait. So in explicit, if you remove this option, both works similar way, explicit and Fluent wait. So this is the only option which will differentiate explicit and Fluent wait. So what is this polling every? Let us say there are two times we have specified 30 and 5. What is this 30? What is this 5? We need to understand. Okay, let us say I have one element on the web page. This is my element. Okay, so our Fluent wait will wait for this element. And how much maximum time? 30 seconds. Maximum time is 30 seconds. And every 5 seconds, it will go and hit that element. For example, in the 30 seconds, total 30 seconds, how many 5s are there in 30 seconds? 6, right? So first 5 seconds, it will go and check the element is available or not. If element is available, within 5 seconds, returns true. And after 5 seconds, again, one more time, it will hit that element. If element is available, it returns true, or else it will wait for another 5 seconds. And after 5 seconds, again, it will hit. After 5 seconds, again, it will hit. After 5 seconds, it will again hit. So for every 5 seconds interval, it will go and check the element visibility. So how many times like this it will do? Till it reaches 30 seconds. So here first 5 seconds, next 5 seconds, next 5, next 5, next 5. So totally 30 seconds maximum time it will wait. But in between, let's say suppose element is available within 5 seconds, it will return the element, and then we can get this element in a variable and we can perform the additional action. You can say txt username dot send keys of, you can directly pass the data here once we get this element. Suppose if within 5 seconds, if it is not getting, then another 5 seconds it will wait. Then another 5 seconds it will wait. So this is called polling time. Polling every 5 seconds. So this is not fixed value. We can put whatever value you want. Suppose if you want to poll in every 3 seconds, you can change it as a 3. So then 10 times in 10 intervals, it will wait. Okay, that is the difference between 30 seconds and 5 seconds. Third option is ignoring no such element exception. Okay, suppose if in every 5 seconds, if the element is not visible, it will throw no such element exception, right? So this itself will handle that exception. So it will ignore no such element exception in every interval. So first 5 seconds, it is hitting the element not found. Actually, it will throw no such element exception, but it will not throw. Then it will go to another 5 seconds. Again, hit the element. No element found. So it will not throw any exception. So again, it will go. In every cycle or in every interval, there is a chance of getting no such element exception. So that we will ignore by passing this parameter. But after 30 seconds, still this element is not visible. Still, there is a chance of getting an exception. That's the final exception that Fluent wait also cannot handle. Only within the intervals, if there is an exception comes, it will able to ignore it. Okay. So these are the 3 options we specify in Fluent wait. And this is called declaration. And this is what usage. Now, once we get an element here, that you can use text username dot send keys of, can pass admin like this, and find element is again part of this Fluent wait. Okay. So sometimes it may work, sometimes it may not work, but don't worry. Let me just run it. Yeah. So now you can see the values got entered in the username box. So this is how we can simply use Fluent wait. It is more complex. Okay. So when you compare with explicit wait, what is the difference is it will have these two options. So it will work more effective than explicit wait. And here also there is a chance of getting no such element exception if this time is exceeded. Okay. But now we need to think about something here. In every wait statement, if the time is got exceeded, still there is a chance of getting an exception, right? That is not solved. In any type of wait, it is not solved. So what is the standard time is maximum 10 seconds. Even here also, you can put maximum 10 seconds. And in every 2 seconds or 3 seconds, you can poll for the element. When I say 2, 5 times it will poll for the element. Okay. So this is how we can simply do it. So maximum cutoff time is 10 seconds. If still you are getting issues, right? If the element or page is taking more time than 10 seconds, you can put your code in try catch blocks and then handle no such element found. And also you need to report this issue to the developers because that is a severe issue. If you're not getting elements within 10 seconds, that is a poor, very, very poor performance of your application. So you have to intimate to the developers and try to fix it. And then you can come back and execute your code. But temporarily, if you have chances of getting the exception, you can still handle by putting them in the try catch block. Okay. So this is how we can simply use wait state. So which statement we have to use very frequently. So all implicit wait, explicit wait, and fluent waits. So when you compare these three again, fluent wait will work more effectively than explicit wait. And explicit wait will work more effectively than implicit wait. But when you compare, that is the way of working. But the usage wise, very simplest way one is implicit wait because we can just put only one single statement, no specific classes, no objects, nothing. One single statement, you can put this, and that is applicable for all kinds of statements. So anyway, you will put all statements in the try catch blocks by default in your automation test script. So if there is an exception comes, obviously that will handle it. So when you compare with implicit wait, explicit wait, fluent wait, so most of the times we can still manage with the implicit wait. Okay, if you're having very complex project and if you're familiar with the explicit and fluent wait, you can still use them. Nothing wrong. Okay, but start using implicit wait. Most of the times, even I also prefer to use implicit wait because of simplicity. And exception is common, right? In every wait statement, there is a chance of getting an exception. So that we cannot avoid. Only through try catch block we can handle. Whichever wait you are using in all kinds of wait, try catch block is mandatorily required. So if you look at in that particular aspect, implicit wait is more preferable at the beginning level. But once you make advanced level, once you go to advanced level, and if you're working complex project, then you can work with fluent wait or explicit wait. Okay. So there is no specific default time like this. Default time is 0 only for all kinds of waits. Default time is 0 only, but we need to put maximum 10 seconds. Don't exceed more than 10 seconds. But if elements are, even though it is loading within 15 seconds or 20 seconds it is taking, still that is a very poor performance. We should not accept it. Okay, so we should fix those issues and then again exit your automation code. Immediately you have to report them to the developer because they will take necessary actions and they can make website very fast. So there is no limit for maximum timeout. Okay, you can put whatever timeout you want, but that is not relevant. Okay, you can put 30 seconds, but the element is loaded within 20 or 30 seconds. Your script will go fine, but that is not acceptable. 20-30 seconds is not acceptable. It's very, very poor performance. 10 seconds itself is very poor performance. You should not accept, even though it is loaded within 10 seconds. No. See, if you're working on any web page, if you're browsing any web page, if it is taking too much of time, as a user, how you will feel? You will start frustrating with that, right? So according to the standards, web standards, the elements or pages should be loaded within 3 seconds. That is the actual standard. But in automation, we will try to bear up to 10 seconds maximum, not more than that. But still, if your element is taking more than 5 seconds, 6 or 10, 7 seconds, you can proceed with your automation by putting 10 seconds maximum timeout, but you have to intimate to the developers also, whatever you noticed, because they will work on performance improvement and accordingly. Okay. All right, so just try to do this one round of practice is enough. And most of the times we try to use implicit waits to solve synchronization problems. Okay, so I will stop here for today's session, and tomorrow we will continue that. Just do one round of practice, and even anyway in the coming sessions, many places we will use these wait statements, because most of the times we will get synchronization problems. So whenever you get a synchronization problems, we will apply implicit wait instead of thread.sleep, and then we will proceed further. Okay. So that's all for today's session. I'll stop here. We'll continue to